Hello, everybody. I haven't done one of these videos in a long time, and I figured that I might as well start doing these. These are just going to be like opinion videos. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing them. We'll see. But I just wanted to give my brief opinion on Ecuador right now. I was thinking about it, and the correct term would be a civil war. It is a civil war. The government and the criminals in the country are fighting, right? All hell has broken loose, right? The criminals, they're killing people, they're taking people hostage. Well, that's what we've been seeing on the news. And the government has deployed the military onto the streets. So, I mean, they're just having, gunfights. Um, and, I think uh, like the government and the bad people. I was thinking about this like term, right? Like civil war. Is it a civil war? Is it a revolution? What are criminals, right? Because criminals, we know they're bad guys with guns, and I'm not gonna justify criminals or violence or bad people, but I'm questioning, right? I'm curious in the past when things happened, right, like revolutions, coup d'etats, right, when they overthrew the monarchies in different countries, still to this day when there's like revolutions happening. I mean, history, I wonder how history is going to paint these moments, these times, right? Like Donald Trump as a president in 100 years, what is Donald Trump going to be remembered? How is he going to be remembered in history, right? And the criminals, if you look back in history and maybe you lived, let's say you lived in the moment of a revolution in a country, right? Like the American independence or the Mexican revolution or the Mexican independence. If you were there, would you have, seen one side as criminals and the other one as the government? Right? And I'm not saying that in Ecuador, the criminals are like revolutionaries, but I was thinking like, is it a revolution? Because a revolution is like trying to overthrow the government because they're oppressing, and all the governments nowadays are supposedly democratic, except for like Russia and North Korea. But it's like for me, I'm curious about this, right? It's like are they going to be considered criminals in the future, right? Because um, I was thinking about that. What is a civil war? And I said, well, I'm like, it's not a revolution. It's not. And then I said, it's not a civil war either because they're calling it a civil war. And a civil war is when there's two political, like the American Civil War, right? The North versus the South. So when there's a political like conflict of ideas, right? Like this side has this ideology, this other side has this other ideology, and they fight. That's a civil war. And then I was thinking, I'm like, well, maybe it is a civil war because it's different ways of doing things. And then this whole analysis takes us to basically thinking about capitalism, and then like maybe in the past, criminals exist because they want what? Money, right? Everybody wants money. So and that's thanks to capitalism, right? You can work for money, and then you can do bad things for money, you can do good things for money, you can do anything for money, and everybody wants money because with money you get more things that you can produce yourself. But back like 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, when people didn't um, rely on others, on factories, on companies, on businesses to get things. They produce their own things. Um, when there was conflict, it would just be called like revolution, or I mean, and these guys, one side wouldn't be called like criminals because everybody had guns, right? And everybody was fighting against everybody. Before there were guns, everybody was fighting against everybody with swords, right? With bow and arrows and shit. So I'm just like, trying to unmask, undress these terms, right? Criminal, civil war, um, conflict nowadays, history. How does history view this? How is this going to be, represented in the future? It's kind of interesting to think about that. um, yeah, so I guess this is my analysis for right now on what's happening in Ecuador. It got me thinking about that, because you could think about like the people in the past and how they were self-sufficient. I've been looking up these videos on how to be self-sufficient, because you don't know nowadays. Wherever you live, something could happen. War could fucking break out between groups. People can start shooting each other, killing people. Like there's a lot going on right now, right? Like Ukraine, Israel, in Ecuador, and just overall in the world. There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of hostility. There's a lot of potential for conflict. So I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. And then if an apocalypse happens, not a zombie apocalypse, but like something where everybody's fighting against everybody, well, you need to get out of the city, because the city has a lot of people, right? And you're going to have to go out into the country and become self-sufficient. You're not going to be able to go to the store and buy food or clothes, right? You're going to have to be able to do this on your own. I've been watching these videos on Bear Grylls too. If any of you have heard of Bear Grylls, he has a show on how to survive on an island. Well, he takes people like normal people, and they have to survive on an island, right? And he basically like puts them up against each other, like rich versus poor, men versus women, different ages. It's interesting. So I'm gonna start filling my head with this type of practical knowledge, because if all hell breaks loose, a motherfucker has to go out into the country, and be able to become self-sufficient, basically. So yeah, if you want me to talk more about this, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna maybe start making some of these videos where I just fucking go off the grid and just start talking whatever ideas I thought about in the day or in the days. Hope you like this video. Subscribe, share, like, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.